Welcome to the Farmish Kind of Life podcast, where we talk about homesteading stuff and life stuff and everything in between. Join me, Amy Dingman, as we explore big questions on a little farm. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Farmish Kind of Life podcast. Today is November 5th, 2024. I am Amy Dingman, coming to you from Clucky Dickens Farm, which is a 5-acre homestead in central Minnesota where we usually have chickens and ducks and rabbits and pigs, vegetables, fruit, and our freezers and our shelves are very full and we are very blessed. Here on the podcast, I talk about homesteading stuff, but I also just talk about good old life stuff because we're all living a life and we are trying to make it the best life that we can. This is episode 297, and today, what are we talking about? Well, you know how you have something you want to do, or you want to change, or you want to try, or you want to take on, but you're just kind of worried about what other people are going to think about it? Today, we're going to get really real about what other people actually think about you in those situations, and I hope it's going to inspire you to just go on and do whatever that thing is that you want to do. But before we get to that, what has been happening on the Lifestead? Well, if you are listening to this on YouTube, obviously it is not a video podcast this week. I'm still wrapping up some tech stuff, so hopefully video podcasts will be happening soon. What else? No rabbit kits so far. I'm guessing that the breeding did not work. It was everybody's first time, so everybody's just learning what to do. So this week, next week, next week maybe, we will try rebreeding again and hopefully get this meat rabbit system underway. What else? At an auction, a local auction, I was able to score an antique corn sheller. You guys, it is the coolest thing. It is cast iron. It weighs a gazillion pounds, and it's really, really old, and it still works. And I'm super excited because we just happened to see it come up on this auction, and I got it for like $23, you guys. I was so excited. The funny thing is that I am all out of dried corn, so I can't even try this out to be able to show you how it works, but I'm super excited about that. And now I just feel like we can grow all the gem corn because now I have a much easier way to shell it much faster. Shelling is taking the kernels off the cob. Now I just need to find myself an antique corn grinder, but I've got a whole year, right? So hopefully one will come up on the local auction, so I can remedy that as well. That would be so awesome. The last thing that I want to let you know about is that the November issue of the Farmish Papers, my snail mail newsletter, was sent out last week. So hopefully that has arrived at your home now, so you can be reading it and enjoying it with a cup of coffee. Just a reminder that in 2025, the Farmish Papers is going to be changing. Instead of it being a monthly subscription, it's going to be 3 different quarterly subscriptions that have to do with different topics. So check out the show notes for a link about where you can find out more about that and get on a list so I can send you subscription information and we can get that all ready to go. All right, let us head over to the main topic and talk about what is it that people are thinking about you when you are super worried about that thing that you want to take on. So rabbits were our new project this year. I've wanted them for a while. We finally decided to get them. So last May, I got rabbits from Nate and Aaron at Two Chicks Homestead. And then the beginning of October, I believe, we finally attempted to breed them. And let me tell you, when you get into something new on the homestead, there is a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn about homesteading. There's a lot about homesteading that I'm clueless about, even though I've been at this for, a few years. We've been here at the homestead since 2011, and we had ducks and chickens for a couple years before that. But even being a homesteader, for several years, there's still a lot about homesteading that I'm clueless about. I didn't grow up as a homesteader. My husband did not grow up as a homesteader. We came to this lifestyle and decided, wow, we got a lot to learn. And when you live that lifestyle, or any lifestyle that's new to you, you get an idea of something you want to try, right? And then you got to learn how to do it. So I would get an idea of something that I want to try, whether that is rabbits or goats or a cow or, whatever it is. And I get the idea that I want to try it. And then I know that I really don't know what I'm doing. And I get nervous. And I don't get nervous because I might fail. I get nervous because of what people will think when I fail, or what they will think when I change my mind, or what they will think when my plan doesn't work out, or what they'll think when I decide to try something else. Like, what are people going to think? And I was thinking about this the other day, and how this used to be really stressful for me. And sometimes it still is, but it's getting better because I realized something. And this is something I have to realize several times, which means it's something I have to be reminded of. So it might be something you need to be reminded of too. Here's the thing. No one really cares what you're doing. Okay? No one cares. That's the truth. That's the reality. 99% of people are not thinking about what you're doing as much as you think they are. That is one thing that I have had to come to grips with after being here on the homestead for 13-ish years. It's that nobody really cares what you're doing. Nobody really cares if I make YouTube videos about my farm or if I quit making YouTube videos about my farm. Nobody really cares that I moved to this farm and really, really wanted goats, and then got goats, and 3 years later decided, you know what, I don't really like goats, and I got rid of them all. Nobody really cares. Nobody cares that I was home for years running our farm, and then I got this hair up my butt that I decided I didn't want to do that anymore, and I wanted a job outside the home instead. Nobody cares. Nobody cares that 2 years later I decided that was a disaster, and I quit my job and I came back home. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if my rabbits didn't get bred. Nobody cares. These things about your life that you are worried about what other people are going to think, what they're going to say when you decide to do this, that, or the other thing, all those things about your life are not weighing on other people's minds. These things about your life are not keeping other folks up at night. These things are not flying through their head as they are driving to the grocery store and they're thinking, oh my God, I can't believe that Amy doesn't have an emu or a donkey yet. Can you believe it? In the grand scheme of things, nobody really cares. People might be interested in what you're doing, but people are hyper-focused on their own lives, as they should be. And they are worried about what is going on in their own lives, as they should be. They need to care about that. Or here's the other thing, they're not thinking about you because they're spending their own time worried about what other people are thinking about them. And no one's thinking about anyone else. So can we just stop? Now, there are a couple things you might be thinking that relate to this because, nothing is black and white here. So let's address these two things that you might be thinking. You might be thinking, number one, okay, but Bobby Sue or Brenda or Matt can't go 10 minutes without giving me their opinion on what they think I'm doing. So I don't know what you're talking about, Amy. People do care what I'm doing. And here's my response to that. That's valid. I mean, there are people out there like that. They always got to give their opinion about what you're doing. That's kind of the fuel that keeps social media going, right? It's the comment section, which is more often than not someone's opinions on your post, your life, your choices, all that. But I guess my response to that, when there's people who have to constantly comment on what you're doing or have an opinion and share their opinion about what you're doing, those people do not have enough going on in their own life. They really don't. And so they've decided to obsessively care about yours. And that is not normal. It is not normal to care so much about a million specific choices that someone else is making in their life. It's not healthy. It's not normal. So let's just throw that out there. Here's the other thing you might be thinking. Right now you might be thinking, okay, but I actually do care about what's going on in my daughter's life or my grandma's life or my coworker's life. Here's my response to that. That is also valid. You may care what's going on in their life, right? But you don't have any control over it. You can be concerned about what's happening with your friend or your boss or your uncle, but you don't have any control over it. Just like people don't have any control over what's happening with you. We can all say this, that, and the other thing until we're blue in the face, but it's not about us if it's not actually about us. Does that make sense? There are times where we're going to give our opinion because we are concerned about what's going on in somebody else's life, but we don't have any control over it. It's not our thing to fix. We can have an opinion, but it doesn't really matter. Here's what we have to learn. The things that we care about and have opinions about in other people's lives have zero to do with our own life. Folks who used to razz us about homeschooling or things we chose not to do medically or animals we had on our farm or didn't have on our farm or things we chose to make from scratch or things we still bought at the store or my obsession with doing most things the hard way or little odd hobbies that I take on that have nothing to do with anything or if I go to church or don't go to church. It doesn't have any impact on their own life. It's like sitting on the couch and binging something on Netflix and yelling opinions at the storyline and not realizing that the actors can't hear you. Like, you can say all you want. Doesn't matter. You're not in control of that, right? So people would give us their opinion. It's like, all right, cool. You're not in charge here, right? But here's the other thing, and I don't think we talk about this often enough. There were also times that I thought people were going to razz us about homeschooling or things we chose not to do medically or animals we chose to have on our farm. And people were definitely not razzing us about those things. It wasn't on their radar. We were walking around half-cocked, like ready to go off about whatever that we were ready to defend. And we didn't even realize it wasn't even on other people's radar. They didn't care. They were thinking about their own lives. Or they were worried about what we were thinking about their lives. And neither of us was even thinking about the other person's life, so that was just a lot of stress and drama that didn't need to be there because it didn't even exist in the first place. Does that make sense? Kind of went off on a little trail there, but hopefully that makes sense. The point is, the vast majority of people don't think about what I'm doing, and they don't care what I'm doing. They're not thinking about it. Most people, okay? What I choose to go forward with, or what I decide isn't right for me, is for myself and my house. Same for you. And 99% of people are not thinking about what I'm choosing to go forward with or what I have decided is not right for me or is right for me and my house. Maybe you want to homeschool. Maybe you want to go back to college at 48 years old. Maybe you want to become a vegan or a carnivore, or you want to dress up in a prom dress the next time you go to the feed store. What's holding you back? What's holding you back from doing that? Any answer you have to that should be issues you have that don't have anything to do with what someone else is going to think or say because of a choice that you make that has nothing to do with them. If you're going to have reservations about something, it needs to be an issue you actually have, not something that has to do with someone else's opinion. So if you want to get rabbits, learn a little bit about rabbits and then go get some rabbits. You want to homeschool your kids? Research homeschooling, find some people to talk to about it, and then homeschool. You want to switch careers at age 52? And you've researched the pros and cons of that? And you've made the decision you're going to switch careers? Do it. You want to paint your walls bubblegum pink? Do it. Nobody's going to care. They're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about what you're doing. They're thinking about what they are doing. They're thinking about their own life and what's going on with all of that. Now, when I say nobody cares, that's not to say that nobody cares about you. People caring about you is not the same as people caring about what you're doing and all those specific little choices. People care about you and want the best for you, especially if you have some kind of actual connection with them. But to keep yourself up at night because you think person ABC is being kept up at night about the fact you decided to get rabbits or sell your goats or plant a bunch of lemon trees or get a cow or homeschool your kids or change careers or quit your job or go back to college or run for public office or whatever. That's silly. Nobody is being kept up at night about those decisions in your life. The point is, most people are not even thinking about what you're doing because they are wrapped up in what they are doing. And even if they make an offhanded comment, it generally doesn't take up any more of their attention or brain space than the time it took them to make the comment. And then they're back thinking about their own issues, their own problems, their own worries, decisions they have to make, their own life. Is this different now because we're putting our lives out there on the internet and social media? And that is all like fed and stays alive through people's comments? I mean, let's say that I put up a post about something, anything. There are people who will press like or, press heart and ask questions and really want to know more about what I posted. And then there are people who will say it is the dumbest thing ever, or that's not the way I would do it, or whatever. And then we shrink back and we worry, right? And we think about it. Oh my gosh, and what do these people think about me? That person that made the comment is already on 5 posts past yours, making comments and scrolling and making comments and scrolling and making comments. They don't even remember what you posted. They don't. They're not thinking about you anymore. And yet you're worried about what they said. You're worried that you did something wrong because it's not the way they would do it, or they thought it was dumb, or they thought it was stupid. And you're going to sit and think about that forever, and it's going to affect decisions you make in the future because, oh my gosh, that person said that or this and said it was dumb, said it was the wrong way to do it. And they've already moved, by this point, 45 comments past the one they made on your post. And they're off doing something else now. They don't even remember what they said. They don't even remember what you posted. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, there are people's opinions that I do genuinely care about. Close family members, but those close family members also realize they're not in control. They're not the boss of me, right? We'll do our own thing. We'll make our own decisions. But so many of us are still concerned about what other people are going to think about a decision we make, a change we make in our life, something we choose to do. And these people, they're not thinking about us. They're not thinking about us. They're thinking about their own life. I'm not saying this to say that nobody cares about you. That's absolutely not what I am saying. I am telling you this because I want it to give you confidence and permission to go out and do the things you want to do. Because for most of those people, you're worried about what they're going to think, and they're not even thinking about it. So, what is it that you want to do? There you go. Those are my words for this week. Hopefully that was helpful and will give you something to think about. If you liked this episode or you really enjoy the Farmish Kind of Life podcast as a whole, would you please share it with someone? There are so many podcasts out there, and it's really easy for a podcast to get lost in the podcast ocean. So those personal recommendations are really appreciated. Also, check out the changes that are coming to the snail mail newsletter in 2025. And if you are interested, get your name on the list so I can get you more information. Go to the show notes for that link. Thank you so much for hanging out with me again, and I will talk to you again soon. Hope you enjoyed the show today. To continue the conversation, visit our website at afarmishkindoflife.com, find A Farmish Kind of Life on social media, or drop me an email at amy@afarmishkindoflife.com. Peace, love, and bacon, y'all. Stay farmish.